Welcome back to Conservative American Predictions. Tonight, there's a bit of an interesting topic to discuss. So, in North Carolina, there's going to be a very contentious presidential race there this year between, of course, Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic nominee incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris. And according to 538, the race is a statistical tie, with Trump leading in 501 out of 1,000 simulations and the projection of the state to be exactly even. So, it's expected to be an insanely close race. And this is going to be interesting to look at, but there have been a lot of polls recently that actually have shown Harris as well as Democrats down ballot doing very well. So in today's video, I'm just going to be kind of breaking that down, discussing what I think North Carolina will look like in 2024 and other kind of things about it. So before I do get into the video, make sure to subscribe for more content like this, and I hope you do enjoy the video. So like I said, the 538 average does have the state basically tied, so technically Trump does have that narrow lead, so you could give him the state on the electoral map, and that would be, a good win for him. But there also have been a lot of polls showing Harris up against Trump. It's kind of been back and forth. As you can see, the most recent ones are Harris plus 3, even, Harris plus 3, Harris plus 1, Trump plus 1, Trump plus 2, Trump plus 3, Harris plus 2, Harris plus 1, and Trump plus 4. Now, if we go to more polls, this is the average for North Carolina. Trump has taken the lead in the polling average, probably because of that Trump plus 4 poll. However, it is still very narrow by 0.2%. So, yeah, that's good news for Trump, right? Like, yeah, that's a lead in a swing state. Give him that state, that puts him at 235 electoral votes. But if he only wins that state by a tilt margin, he's probably going to lose Georgia, as Georgia will probably vote to the left of North Carolina. He's probably going to lose Arizona. Almost definitely is going to lose Nevada if it's that close. Probably going to lose Wisconsin. Almost for sure losing Michigan in that scenario, and also Pennsylvania. So Harris would win fairly decisively. Now, if Harris carries North Carolina, that changes the map a lot, too. That gives her an additional 16 electoral votes, putting her at 319 electoral votes, which would be even larger than Biden won it by in 2020. Now, there's another race to look at in North Carolina, which could have an impact on the race. This is the North Carolina gubernatorial election. And previously, I did say Robinson was a good candidate. I thought that he would be because he's won statewide before. He seemed to be very popular in the state. However, with the recent controversies coming out about him, I don't see him doing well at all, and I do believe he's going to lose this race by a significant margin, and it's not looking good for him, and probably the margin is getting worse and worse every day. If you want a full breakdown of, what happened, just go research it. I don't really want to discuss it too much here, as it's not exactly a great topic. Also, it's still technically, allegedly, there's nothing fully proved, but again, if you want to know, just go research some of the stuff about Mark Robinson right now. So, basically, it's going to have a pretty significant impact on the gubernatorial race. And most of you probably know that, I don't believe that down ballot races will have much of an impact on top of the ballot races. For example, in Florida, I think, the Senate race is going to be closer than a presidential race, probably about a 5-point win for Scott. While I think, Trump wins the top of the ballot by about 7. Texas, I do think that Cruz is only up by about 4 right now, and I think Trump is going to win by about 5.5. So, there's going to be a little bit of split ticketing. Some places more than others, like in Montana, where he's probably only going to win by about 4 when Trump wins by, 17-ish. Ohio, Moreno is probably going to lose by about 0.5 point when Trump carries the state by about 8.5 points. So, some significant shifts in some places, like against, or some significant vote splitting. North Carolina is going to be one of those races, in my opinion, this year. I do still have Trump winning the state, but I have adjusted my margin on the gubernatorial race. So the first thing I do want to talk about, again, is some of these polls. I mean, they have shown Stein anywhere up from about 5 to 13 from what I'm seeing in the last couple of months. And this one is a 14-point poll. So, very, very interesting stuff. In 2020, Roy Cooper won by a little under 5 points in a year that Trump won the state by, as you can see. Let me pull it up. He won by, also, I'm sorry, this is the wrong year. Trump won North Carolina by 1.3. And again, a year that Roy Cooper, let me pull that up, he won by a little under 5. So, good margin for the Democrats on the gubernatorial election, but also that was a win for Republicans. So, on the presidential level, so clearly, North Carolina does split ticket by about, let's say, 6-ish points in 2020. Let's go back to 2016. It was a similar-ish margin. Cooper won by 0.22, and Trump won the state by he won it by about 3.5, so that's close to a 4-point split ticket. Let's go back to 2012. McCrory won by 11.4, and then on the presidential level, it was actually much closer, and it only favored Romney by about 2, so that's about a 9-point improvement for the Republicans. So clearly, North Carolina does have a record of split ticketing. Yes, politics has become more, partisan, more polarized since then, so it's going to be harder for split ticketing to happen that much. But we've seen it before. For example, in 2022, if you go back to the gubernatorial elections, so in 2022, you had Shapiro win by 14.8% on the gubernatorial election in Pennsylvania, while on the Senate level, yes, the Democrat John Fetterman still won, but it wasn't by, that 14-point margin. It was only by 4.9, which, yes, is still an impressive margin for Pennsylvania, but that is a lot less than that 15-point margin, so that's about a 10-point shift to the right. I think we're going to see a somewhat similar scenario in North Carolina this year from that race. I think it's going to be a little less Democratic leaning. I think that the gubernatorial race is going to lean Democrat by about 9 points. This is the map I have right now. This is the projection I have. I do expect that Stein will improve basically in every county in the state from Cooper's margins in 2020, and he improves the most in kind of the central areas of the state. He improves the least in the more rural and eastern parts of the state. Also, a few of the traditional Democratic counties, it's going to be hard for him to gain that much in, but I do still expect him to gain in. Also, if he can gain a lot in Durham County and other urban counties around the state like Orange County, that's going to help him very significantly. If he can gain in Guilford County, places like Mecklenburg, places like Macomb counties, those are going to be the ones to gain in and help him shift the state even further left. And I do honestly think he could win by a higher margin than this, but this is just the margin I am projecting as of now. Again, about 9 points for the Democrat Josh Stein. Now, on the presidential level, I do still have Trump winning. I have him carrying the state by 0.6%, so that is about a 9.5% shift. Split ticketing, that's about a 9.5% difference. So a little less than Pennsylvania in 2020, but kind of a similar comparison. So on the presidential level, I do expect Harris to improve, of course, in urban and suburban areas around the state, mainly in the Durham, Orange County area, and also in the Mecklenburg area, while I do expect Trump to gain in kind of the northeast of the state, a area that shifted right in 2020, as well as most rural counties across the state. So that, overall, it's a net gain for Harris or percentage-wise, but it's not horrible for Trump. So, again, a narrow win for Trump and a strong win for Josh Stein. That's how I'm seeing the races go as of now. But let's say that Stein wins by 14, 15 points like, Shapiro did in 2022. Let's say this is kind of a repeat of that scenario. I don't think that, down ballot races have that much of an effect. We've seen that before. There've been down ballot races be very close, and then, stuff like that happens. It's usually, almost always, the top of the ticket moves the down ballot races. It's not the other way around. But in a case where it's so far left, like, for example, in 2022, when you had Shapiro win by 14.8, it was almost impossible for Oz to win because there was that many Democratic voters energized to vote for Shapiro, and that somewhat transferred over to Fetterman. It's going to be the same thing in the presidential race. If Stein wins by a big enough margin, that's going to be able to get enough people motivated out just to support the Democrats instead of, voting for Stein out of disliking Robinson and then voting for Trump. There's going to be enough people to cancel that out. So I think if Stein wins by anything over 10 points, as of now, this is just how I see it, as of now, if it's over 10 points, then it is going to be a tilt victory for Kamala. If it's anything below 10, I think anything between 9 and 10, complete toss-up race. Anything below 9, I would say, is a tilt Trump victory. So, again, I do have Trump winning North Carolina, but let's say that Kamala does win it. Let's say that Stein wins the race by, let's say he wins by 15 points. That would mean Kamala, if we're figuring by 2022 Pennsylvania margins, she would carry the state by a lean margin. If she would carry North Carolina by, let's say, 4 points, that would probably mean she wins Georgia by, 5 points. That would probably mean she wins Arizona by 5 or 6, Nevada 6 or 7. Michigan, probably 8 or 9, maybe even 10 points. Pennsylvania, 8 or 9. Wisconsin, 8 or 9. So it would be a blowout map for the Democrats. It would be a very good night if Stein can win that well. So there is a lot of questions about, this race, if it's going to have an impact on who wins the presidential race. Potentially it could. I mean, if somehow the map comes down to Trump winning in Georgia and winning in Pennsylvania, let's just say that he has a pretty decent night, and then Harris wins the other battleground states. If she would still win North Carolina, because let's say that Stein has a really good night and Robinson suffers, that could give Kamala the race if Trump does not win North Carolina. So that just shows North Carolina is very important. So this is a race where Republicans are going to want to be very careful moving forward. And I don't think that Robinson has a pathway to victory as of now. But if what Republicans are going to want to do is minimize his defeat so it doesn't crash Trump down on the presidential level. So that's just what I think as of now. North Carolina really could go either way, but I do have it going to a Republican as of now. So I'm margins aside, this is just how I have the battleground states still going as of now, not filled in with margins. These are just how I see it. So I do still have Harris at 303, Trump at 235, but the race could still change significantly. So I hope you did enjoy this video. Comment down below what you think about this and where you think North Carolina will go after this year. And so I hope you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys next time.